All right, we are now getting ready to begin part three of our textbook project 1.1. And what we're doing is going to start on page WD 1 through 13, and we're going to be working through a couple of items here. Up here on the quick access toolbar, which is where our save button is located that we've talked about, also the title bar, they're located right here. You're going to find two buttons. One is called an undo and one is called a redo. So an undo and a redo button. And what you're going to do is if you have done something and you don't want, you end up not liking it, you can always hit the undo button and it will undo whatever the last thing that you just did was. Or if you decide, wait a minute, I don't like that, I'd rather have it back the way it was, then you could click redo and it will redo that particular action. So what we're going to do is looking at our document here, the author of this document, David, has decided that he doesn't think that he likes the word sustainability. So he wants to change that. So what we're going to do, and what the book is asking you to do, is to use your arrow keys to navigate to the word sustainability. So first you will start by moving your up key and then sliding over until you get to your the S in sustainability on the front side of it. All right, and then what we want to do is to hit the button Control and then Delete. Hit Control first and then Delete. And what happens is the word sustainability is actually deleted. All right, so since he didn't like sustainability, he thinks he likes the words water conservation better. So we're going to type that in. Water conservation, and I'm going to click the space bar. All right, and then after he looks at it, he was like, no, I really don't like that better. So what I want to do is I want to go back to the phrase sustainability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the undo button. And when I do, you can see water conservation comes out. I'm going to click the undo again. And the word sustainability comes back. I did all of that without typing in the words sustainability, water, or conservation. Okay, so this actually can be a time saver for you. All right, so then after looking at it again, based on what your textbook said, David then decides, you know what, I really don't like the word sustainability. I really do want to use the words water conservation. And so you're going to go to redo. And again, it takes it out, and then you click it one more time, and the word water conservation does come back in. All right, so we've done that, and we have the right word. Even though I've changed my mind a time or two, I've ended up with something that I like without having to retype it multiple times. Okay, so here's another little quick trick. If you will click Control button, and end, hit Control and then end, what happens is your cursor will automatically move to the very end of the document. All right, and then once you do that, what we want to do is we want to click Save again. All right, so while we are in this place in our textbook, and we did use some really neat tricks for moving your cursor around your insertion point, there on page WD 1-14, you're going to see different things that you can do to navigate throughout your document. One of which included your Control Home or Control End. If I do Control Home, it is going to take me to the very first line of the document. If I do Control End, it's going to take me to the very last line of the document. However, if you hit Home, or if you hit End, of course, let's put it right here by side enclosed. If I hit Home, it's taking you to the first line of the document, but if I hit end, it's going to take you to the end of that very same line, not the document, but the line. And so these are some shortcuts, and then you got page up and page down that you can actually use to navigate your document faster than just scrolling or hitting the tab key or anything like that. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay, so the next section we're going to be looking at is correcting other errors as you type. And we know that Word has something called autocorrect, and it can detect and go ahead and correct errors, commonly used errors that are going to come up from time to time. All right, and it has been trained, if you will, or programmed to make those corrections. However, sometimes it's like, I don't really like this, and so it just brings something to your attention, and then you get the option of making the change if you so choose, given some of their recommendations. Okay, so with all of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the following sentence. I'm going to come back to my very next paragraph, and what they're asking us to do here is to type in a couple of sentences, but they're asking us to make errors intentionally. So we show you how Word will make corrections on some things, but not on all. So that's what we're going to do next. And this is on WD 115 in your book. I'll do my best to type it the way that it's in the book. Oops. So in your phone message, comma, you asked me to include maps of TEHC reservoirs. They are not back from the printer yet, comma, but I will send them as soon as they are actually ready, period. Okay, so here's what I want us to look back at the errors that were made in the typing, whether intentional or not, because I see one in there that was not intentional. And you can see that we have a double line here. We have some wavy lines here. And if I go ahead and click the enter button, there is another one that actually appears right here. So what we want to do is, again, and if you look back at your book, the very first word, in, I did not capitalize it, but the autocorrect did. So that correction was already made. The other thing that was made was I incorrectly typed the word the, and that was corrected automatically by Word. All right, so now what I want to do is go back and look at the ones that are highlighted or that were brought to my attention and see what needs to be done. This is one of the neatest tools in Word is in correcting things that are incorrect, is that you can go and hover over it and then you will right click. And when I right click over the word your, it's telling me that some words are similar, but they're used differently. So the word or contraction you apostrophe RE is actually like replacing the words you are. So you wouldn't say in you are phone message, so therefore you know that the contraction is not being used. However, Y-O-U-R is the correct form of the word, and so all I need to do is click on that Y-O-U-R and it automatically makes the change for me in my document. Okay, go to the next underlined word, wavy underlined red word, and I'm going to hover over it and right click. And up comes a suggestion, delete repeated word. I read it, yep, I have it in there twice, so I do want to delete the repeated word, and the correction is made. Go back in here to reservoirs, right click, and we have several options we can choose from. This is the right one, so I click on it and the correction is made. All right, let's see if this one comes up right. This was me, a printer. That should be That is correct. Go to soon with 2 S's. I'm going to right click, and there is the correct option. I'm going to choose it with my left by left clicking it. And now, again, this actually went away. So I'm going to highlight that because it was that way earlier. So now I look, right click, and it's telling us that this isn't very concise language. In order to become more concise, they're saying that I should just use the word ready and leave out actually. So I'm just going to click on ready. It makes a correction, and now you can see that there are no highlights in relation to errors of spelling, typing, grammar, or anything like that. Okay, so that is our document so far. Okay, and if you'll flip over to Word 116, those are actually the corrections that I made. Now, what I want to do, I want to go ahead and pick up with WD 117, and we want to finish typing our letter. So we're going to go to Control End because we need to be at the end of our document before we move any further. Okay, and that takes the insertion point and puts it at the very end. So we're going to type sincerely yours. Oops. Why is it? Oh, it's going for translator. How am I doing that? Okay, right here. Sincerely yours with a comma. And then they want you to enter 3 times to leave a space for the signature. All right, and then they want you to type David Alzacar, because that is the name of the author of this letter. And then they want you to press enter. And then you can see that Alzacar becomes a red wavy line, meaning that Word believes it is spelled correctly. However, in this particular case, it is not. It is correctly spelled. It's just that it's not in the dictionary, but we'll address that in just a few minutes. All right, then the next thing we need to do is to type in your, or my lowercase initials. My initials are CSI, so I'm going to type those in. You should type in your 3 initials, no matter what they may be. So I'm going to type in CSI, because those are my initials, and I'm going to press enter. Well, when I press enter, you can see it assumes that that C should be capitalized, okay, but it's not. So what I want to do, I want to go to the quick access toolbar, and I want to undo that. And when I undo it, it automatically goes back to being a lowercase. That informs Word that I want it lowercase. Okay, it doesn't meet the criteria for being capitalized in this particular case. All right, and then the next thing that I want to do is type the word enclosure, because there are going to be documents that are going to be enclosed with this particular letter. Now, this is not in your book, I don't believe, so let me tell you what my opinion is about enclosure. If you have one item or one type of item, as in this case, you're going to be sent brochures, but they're all the same brochures. They're all the same brochure. You would use enclosure as a singular term. However, if you are going to enclose different brochures, then you would want to use an S on the end of enclosure, and that identifies it so that the reader of the letter knows to look for one or more than one item in with this letter. Okay, so if it's more than one item or type of item, you would use enclosures. If it's only one item or type of item, you would use enclosure. All right, so we're going to save it at this point in time by clicking my save button up at the top. And sometimes I'll do it more than once just to be on the safe side. And this will be the end of video number 3 for textbook project 1.1. All right, I'll be posting video 4 in just a while. Thanks, guys.